Welcome to the Empowering Choices podcast. My name is Joshua.
Woof, woof.
And I'm Eric.
Wow. And I think that woof, woof is Lucas. And he's just really excited because today we're going to be reacting to Bluey, which you've been waiting for this.
I always try to think about like some alternative intro that I could do. And that was, that was.
But what if it was someone's first time ever seeing us? They just know you as Woof Woof.
Hey, well, that's their loss, I suppose.
That could be a subtitle.
Yeah, that could be the subtitle?
That could be the subtitle. So basically,
hosted by Woof Woof.
We had this idea, which is basically to watch some little segments of Bluey. And Lucas, you had an episode that you really thought was pertinent to our conversation.
Yeah, so my kids have really enjoyed Bluey. And then my wife and I, as we have been watching the episodes, found that it's genuinely a really good show.
Yeah.
And I think the internet is in agreement. Everyone on the internet is... No, I'm kidding. It's genuinely a really good show. But then this one particular caught my attention because it very explicitly talks about parenting styles and techniques.
Right.
And my impression is that this is a very much kind of what not to do episode. But it seemed like there was lots of good stuff that we could talk about in it. We're going to do it.
And if for some reason this is your first time hearing about Bluey, it's basically... where's it from?
Australia.
Yeah, so it's from Australia. And it's a lot of fun. Kids love it, but yeah, there's all kinds of stuff in there for adults to pull out. And this particular episode is called Burger Shop from season 2. It's episode 50. And so we've got a few little clips from there, and I say we just we'll play them and have a little discussion.
There we go.
Come on, kids. It's bedtime. Out of the bath.
Aw, but we're about to play Burger Shop.
Tough. Can you earn your keep, please?
Nah, I'm done being a meanie parent. My new parenting book says not to boss the kids around.
Oh, I like that book.
It says here we should let them make their own decisions.
Well, good luck with that.
Okay, Burger Shop's ready. Oh, look, our first customer. What would you like to order?
Bluey, I'm going to let you make the decision here. You can stay up late playing Burger Shop and you'll be tired and grumpy in the morning. Or you can get out now and be nice and happy in the morning.
So it's up to us?
Yep.
What would you like to order?
I love that part. That's great. Because I'm like going back into my own childhood going, yeah, I'd stay there in the bathtub. If I stay up late and be grumpy in the morning, I can't think that far.
I almost literally had this interaction with my daughter. I think it was like last night in the bathtub. And I'm telling her, like, it's time to get out, right? We need to brush teeth and get ready for bed, and we've run out of time, and it's time to get out. And the phrase is that, thank you, Indy. You're trying to get in on the Bluey episode. I know you speak dog. You speak dog better than any of the rest of us,
right?
And so my daughter is literally telling me, and she this is a line of argumentation that she's taken to before, but it's really just, I don't like it when you tell me the things that I don't like it when you tell me. And I'm like, I'm sorry, kid. Like that's welcome to the next 15 years, right? I mean, you're going to get a lot of that.
And it goes along with what the book said for the dad. The book says that, I shouldn't tell the kids what to do. I should let them make their own choices.
Because I don't want to be a meanie parent.
I don't want to be a meanie parent. And a part of this is that, how did parenting become you're the bad guy if you're saying something that your kids don't want to hear?
Right.
And I think a part of this problem is that we're not understanding that there's different levels of thinking for a human being.
Right.
We talk about it in the manual that kids are thinking out of the back of their brain. All kids are thinking out of the back of their brain, the emotional center, until they hit age 18, and it begins to shift to the front part of the brain, which is the logical center. So they're primarily emotional thinkers. As an emotional thinker, fun is a really big emotion.
Right.
If you're giving the choice of having fun or going to bed.
Right, or getting out and getting ready and brushing your teeth. And not fun.
But it's having fun or thinking about being tired in the morning.
Right. What are you talking about?
They're not going to do that because they're not big picture thinkers. They're not going to see past the moment, depending on the age. And this age depicted, they're in the here and now.
Yeah.
Right. I think Bluey and Bingo are 7 and what would that be, 7 and 5 or something?
Right in that age range. And so, I love it how he's like, well, what would you like to do? Logically speaking,
Right.
Because this is how an adult is going to think.
Right.
I want to stay up and watch this movie. I really want to watch this movie, but I'm going to be tired in the morning. I know what tired in the morning feels like. All right, I'm going to bed. That's not a kid.
No. Yeah.
The kid's going to be like, and now I have a parent. We're really going to open the burger shop.
Well, I mean, you heard Bluey be like, I like that book.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was just at the doctor with our little over a 1-year-old. But one of the questions that I said, hey, this kid acts like we are abusing him when we brush his teeth. I said, do we have to always brush his teeth? I kind of know the answer, but she's like, there's 2 non-negotiables I have. You have to always hold their hand when they cross the street, and he has to have his teeth brushed every day, whether he cries his head off or whatever. But she said, what's worse than a kid crying their head off while they're getting their teeth brushed? It's being beside a kid while they're having to have the dental work done to fix that. And so, with a little kid, we kind of get that, like they don't have any idea. But then as kids get older and they start to more yield their will, you think, well, maybe they do understand a little bit. But yeah, no, they don't.
It's literally like this meter, right? From 0 to 18.
Right.
And like there's an increase.
Right.
Right.
An increase, yes. Because you're going to, it's not that you don't think as a kid out of the logical part of your brain at all.
Right.
You do, but it's slowly increasing, slowly getting better, but it's not where your primary thinking is based.
Yeah.
So, and that's, when we all have reached 18 and left high school, and then we've come back a year later with to hang out with some of our friends who are still in high school, the reaction that you have of, oh my gosh, was I like that? That there is the evidence of the brain changing. Because it's not that you changed a whole bunch, and it's not that they changed at all. What changed is that your thinking is moving from one area of the brain to the other, and now you're looking at that type of behavior, those type of actions, those type of emotions in a different light, a more logical light. And so the brain is shifting, the brain is changing throughout life. And somehow a lot of the parenting styles have taken this, well, if you tell them no, you're the bad person.
Yeah.
Oh, just let them figure it out. Give them all the information, they will. If that were the case, they'd be voting. They'd be getting credit cards. They'd be driving. All of these things that they can't do are based on they can't think real well yet.
You haven't got the octopus and the stingray. You have to collect them all.
Bluey.
2 burgers. Okay.
Hey, your chef looks cold.
She's fine.
She's shivering.
$5 bucks.
And so are you.
I'm fine.
Your lips are blue.
I'm a blue healer.
Bluey, look, I'm trying to get you out of the bath without being a meanie, but you have to help me.
But we're not finished. We still have to sell all these burgers.
Okay, I'll take all of these. Delicious. There, you've sold all your burgers.
Wow.
Now.
All right.
I cannot tell you how many times my parents came in and said, it's time to get out of the bathroom. And I went, just one more battle. Oh, one more battle.
You've been these kids.
I've been these kids. And my mom is like, why didn't you turn the hot water on? I'm like, it's gone. It's gone.
I already did.
But I'm okay.
6 times.
That's right.
Your lips are turning blue. But yeah, he's definitely trying to he's still trying not to be a quote meanie parent.
Right.
But he's obviously still trying to push for the thing that he wants as an adult. But then he's trying to I don't know, engage with the kids on their level to play the game that they're playing.
Yes.
But it's just not working.
Well, and that's more logical thinking. I mean, you're playing the game to get a little more in, to get a little more satisfied, to get okay, now adults can step away from the table because, they know that was fun, that was great. Now we're going to go on to do the next thing, which will set us up for the next day, which means we'll be well rested and we can have much more fun things in that day. Yeah, kids don't think that way.
Yeah. Well, and I think we're going to end up skipping over the part where he and we were seeing it we have to sell all of these burgers first. And he goes, all right, fine, I'll just eat. He's trying to play into the logic.
Right. We'll eat all the burgers until they're gone.
Right. And then at another point he says, oh, well, I guess I'm out of money. And then there's a scene where Bluey's like, all right, well, I'm going to pretend to be a banker and hand you more money. There's always when you have like, what's the word? Magical thinking or imaginary thinking. Right. There's always a way to just like make more or pretend or.
Right. And I mean, you can see the kids' brains there because they are literally shivering and cold, but there's no problem here. We we like it.
When you're trying to prolong the moment, if you have imagination, at your disposal, you can really prolong it for a long, long, long time. Days, weeks, months. It's a strength of that age.
Right.
So we will see Bandit continuing to try to use logic in their imaginary situation to try to, like, I don't know, play along to also get what he wants, but also try not to be mean. And, I mean, we've seen how well that's worked out so far.
Boss,
You scared the bar!
I'm trying to teach personal responsibility.
Her lips are blue!
She's a blue healer.
I'm pulling the plug.
No, Mom, this is our burger shop.
It's 7 o'clock. You're meant to be out of the bath, and you're not even meant to be in it.
The book says to let them make their own choices.
They're in preschool.
They can do it. Watch. Kids, no one wants any more burgers, and it's past your bedtime. I really don't want to be a meanie parent, but I need you to make a good choice right now.
Okay, Dad.
So, what are you going to do?
Well, all right, we'll close the burger shop
Great.
and open a taco shop. Yeah!
That's it! I'm pulling the plug!
Well, there just went all of that book education. Oh,
Right.
wait, where'd the book go? Bye-bye, book.
There it is, right there. The book, the garbage can. And that was perfect. That's exactly what we would do as kids. It's just like, okay, we see your logic because the burger shop's closed. What are you going to do? Open a taco shop.
When you can really see that, like, we're experiencing a situation of probably like the best possible set of kids to try this on, with whom there's the best possible chance of success, because Bluey and Bingo are like objectively good kids. Right. They're obedient. I mean, you can see right there, like, okay, Dad, like they're polite, they're communicative, right? This is best case scenario. And it just
right out the
completely
window.
doesn't work at all.
Yeah, and it's just because of the way a human being is designed and the way the thinking works. I mean, I heard about somebody the other day that a parent, really wants their child to understand where they're at, in their mindset. And the counselor said, but they're 8. But they're
in preschool, Bandit.
They're not going to be able to do that because you want them to logically understand something that they do not have the development to logically understand.
Right.
I've many times in sessions had parents who went on long monologues to their children, and then I asked the child, what did you hear? And it was nothing about the monologue whatsoever. In fact, it might have been, is it time to go play?
Gonzo.
And the parent thinks that they weren't listening. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. They were listening, but they couldn't absorb. That you're using big logical words and lectures and you want to get a meaning across, and they're 5. Right. It's like, try explaining quantum physics to them and see what sticks. It just, you're not going to be able to do it even with the information that you're trying to give them.
Well, and it's definitely as a practical matter, the way that I try to communicate with my children is like, there are things of like, we need to go so that we can get there on time, or you're making mommy and daddy angry or frustrated, or mommy and daddy are tired. Can you please play along? Like, kid doesn't engage with any of those things.
Nope.
So you have to determine what is it. And I continually try to think this in my head, particularly when I have a kid who's being obstinate around, I don't want to brush my teeth. Again, last night was full of plenty of examples, apparently, right? My almost 4-year-old is standing in the bathroom with her pull-up like around her knees. She's gotten off of the toilet. She's standing in the bathroom. Her pull-up is around her knees. It's supposed to be going up, right? And I said, well, pull your pull-up up, kid. She goes, I want you to do it. And I'm like, why do you want me to do it? I don't know. Okay. You need to be going to bed. And again, it is literally all of those things.
Yeah.
You need to be going to bed. I'm getting frustrated. Like, she doesn't care about any of those things. For some reason, she just has it in her noodle that I'm going to do it for her. And then she says something about, well, I always want someone to help me with this. And I literally told her, I said, yeah, except when you scream at us when we help you when you don't want it. Because she absolutely wants to do it all by herself sometimes.
Sometimes.
And so like this emotional thinking of like, I always want it the way I want it right now because I want it this way right now. Like, okay, good. And so I have to think to myself, what's going to work here? Right. And I told her, I said, well, your bottom's hanging out. I could spank it. Right. Option one. Because you need to like, I know you have the ability to do this. Or I said, 2, your elephant that you love so very, very much can spend the night with me instead of with you. And she starts panicking. No, I need my elephant. My elephant is the only thing that keeps me calm. And I'm like, calm down and pull up your pants. Right. And it takes her all of about like 1.5 seconds to pull up her pants the rest of the way. Like, it had nothing to do with her ability.
Yeah.
She absolutely has the capabilities at her age to do the thing that she was just deciding not to do for whatever little reason that had gotten in her noodle about it. But I had to find the thing that would, like, you know, I could try to explain quantum physics to her and about how it's very important that she become a responsible person. And I actually think there is a place to say that.
There is.
In a short sentence of like.
Short sentences.
And I tell her this. You need to learn how to be responsible. You need to learn how to do things for yourself. I want you to do this. That's what I tell her.
Yeah.
Right? And usually not much more than that. But yeah, and then, you know, obviously her capabilities of doing the thing once the correct crowbar has been applied to the correct point of leverage. And it's not the only time I've had to do that. It's like, kid, and then she gets locked into these cycles. One of our other favorite ones is she expresses not knowing whether it's morning or nighttime because she has to pick her morning or nighttime toothbrush. She has designated one for morning and one for nighttime, and she will tell us, I don't know which one it is. I want you to tell me. I'm like, kid, you know. And we were kind of doing what Bandit was doing. I'm like, all right, did you just wake up? Or have you been doing things all day? Which I bet you that I want you to tell me. And my wife actually came up with a really great idea. It's like, all right, if we engage in this argument again, we're taking away all of your toothbrushes and you will have one for everything. There will be no morning, no nighttime toothbrush. And she figured it out like that.
Quickly.
She's like, oh, evening. Thank you. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. There's a power struggle there.
Right. Very much so.
My son would come and stare at the clock and go, what time is it?
Okay. How old was he in this story?
Old enough to know how to tell time.
Old enough to know how to tell time. Okay, so he's not 4.
He's not 4. You know, he's in grade school. He's learned how to tell time. And so then he would do the same thing. He's like, oh, I want you to tell me. I'm like, oh, it's 9 p.m. Why are you still up? You should be in bed. It's bedtime. And he would look at me and go, wait, I thought it was in the afternoon. I'm like, I thought you couldn't tell time. So is it 9 p.m. and it's time for you to go to bed? Why are you still up? Or he'd look at the clock and go, oh, it's 1:30. I'm going to go play.
And there's so many various ways to approach this stuff, right?
You know, it's one of the things that I've used a lot in my own tools is because I mean, if you're working with autism, it's a little different, but you still have to have a part where you understand why it is. Like my son, why is he asking? He wants to see if it's changed. He wants to see if the rules have changed. But at the same time, he has to get to a place where he's independent and can be able to take on some of these different things. And then for other general kids, they will also say and do some of these different things because they're looking to grab the reins of power. They want to be the one in control. And it's a natural part of growing, but a part of that being tempered is that you have to go through these very same types of interventions. No, you're basically saying, no, you can't do this and we're not going to be a part of this. And if you insist on being a part of this, then here's how everything changes. Now, what do you want? I don't want them to change. So evening toothbrush, please.
Right. And it's sometimes really difficult because my wife and I, particularly around the toothbrush argument, we were having it a lot for, I don't know, a week. And then my wife came up with this idea, and I'm like, aha. But even for, I occasionally think to myself when we're having parenting problems, I'm like, I'm supposed to be this like parenting guru, right? I'm supposed to know the answers to this. Well, like my 1-year-old is biting, right? And I'm like, I don't immediately know the answer to that one. So that proof that even those of us here behind the microphone don't have all the answers. Don't believe that for a hot minute.
Well, what is a guru in any realm? If
A
they're
wise man.
Not correct, but if you haven't gone through and experienced things, how do you have much wisdom? So, we're people who have gone through and are parenting or have parented or are continuing to parent kids. And so we've picked up different tidbits here and there. Use these as springboards. Use these as things that, here's what we found that works, and it may work for you, or it may catalyst your thinking with your children and your family, and it may be a totally different solution that comes out being the winning piece.
Right.
And so that's kind of where we're coming from, is that, we're in it, we're in the thick of it, and we're going to show you our victories and our losses, and hopefully eventually more victories than losses. But, you can learn from losses too.
Right.
I think if there were like, what are the nuggets of takeaways from this podcast? It's like, be the parent, because your child doesn't have the logical thinking that you do, and then engage with them knowing that. Don't try to engage with logical thinking brain to emotional thinking brain. Like, engage with their thinking brain, and maybe that is your sense of authority of like, if you don't get out of the bath right now, you don't get any bedtime stories.
Yeah. And I think that kind of goes along with the ending here, which we can
Well, there we
watch,
go.
where he kind of realizes that.
Nice and warm now?
Yes, Dad. I'm sorry we didn't get out of the bath sooner.
That's okay. I'm sorry I didn't make you. I guess I'll be a meanie for a bit longer, eh?
Yeah.
So he'll just be a meanie for a bit longer.
And again, like, best possible scenario kids. Like, they absolutely love their dad. They're polite. They're communicative.
Yep.
Like, your 6-year-old is probably never going to actually say that. Right.
Right.
But, I mean, and he kind of, he uses the language he was using before of like, I guess I'm going to be a meanie a bit longer. But then they essentially get to the point where like, oh yeah, I guess that's because I was cold and this is better, but I wasn't going to get there on my own, and I needed you, Dad.
Right.
Yes. And that's a big part, is that you're not a meanie. We use the old term as being the bad guy. You know, sometimes the parent has to be the bad guy. Well, and the thing is, in a lot of different situations in life, when you have someone in charge, bosses, supervisors, it's up to that person who's leading to make decisions that you may not like, and decisions that are for the safety of the environment, for the safety of the people. I was watching a show the other day where the captain of a yacht actually fired someone. And, the person who was the foreman, basically, of the outside guys, he was not in favor of this. But then the captain said, listen, the thing that he did with the anchor, I have seen that done before, and the chain broke and someone lost their life. He goes, I cannot have this level of unsafe things going on. And so he fired that person over firing a different person. Does that make him a meanie?
Well, that's the argument, right?
Yeah.
Like, he fired someone. If you fire someone, you must be mean. But it's it's a cost, it's a negative, it's a con for the greater good, I suppose one might say.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering why we have to look at it through that lens. Just like, he's saying, I guess I'm going to be, the meanie for a while. Well, why is that the lens that we have to view it through? Why is it not that, parents have a level of thinking and understanding, and even though kids are not going to like it, they're still going to be alive. They're still going to be able to grow. They're still going to be able to gain. They don't understand all the reasons why. And, that's not a situation that would have cost anybody their life. But those kids are going to look back, if they were real, and eventually go, wow, that was the right decision.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't think beyond just being in that bathtub and playing. And so I don't see how that makes the adult the bad guy. It just makes the adult, the parent.
I think that the way in which those terms are like maybe useful to say is from the perspective of the emotionally thinking child, the parent is being bad. So that's the lens through which those labels come from. But you're saying, why do we need to buy into the labels that the emotionally thinking child would use?
Exactly.
Can we relabel this and say, I'm your parent, I'm going to do things that you don't like, but they're better because I'm your parent, I love you, I have more experience and knowledge, I've been around longer. Yeah.
And I have a different thinking than you have.
You're not going to play in the street. I'm saving your life.
Right. Yeah.
It's called parenting. Yeah.
Right.
You know, and exactly, you know, and, you know, when I was a kid, we'd play kickball or stickball in the street.
Right.
We played it in the side street. In the side street that had very little traffic, not in the main street that had huge amounts of traffic. Our parents had taught us how to have people to look for traffic when it came.
Yeah.
You know,
The joke around car and everybody scatters.
And everybody scatters.
Yeah.
You know, there's a whole, but you didn't do it when you were 5.
Yeah, you were 10 or whatever.
You were 10 or so. And so you could handle those types of thinking, but it was because parents didn't let us go out there when we were 5 and then talk to us a lot about what it is to go out here and do this, you know, when you're able to do it.
Well, and I was having a conversation with one of my clients yesterday. They were talking about how they were raising their children as their children were growing up, and they were having an interaction with I think their son was like 14, and the mom got really angry and started trying to spank their 14-year-old and then went, I have never hit you in anger until today. And I'm going to go to my room and cry for a minute. This is the mom talking, right? And then because it was an emotional situation and she was overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And so she goes to her room. And a couple of minutes later, her 14-year-old comes and knocks on the door and goes, Mom, are you okay? And we were having the conversation around like, that's a pretty stinking good response for a 14-year-old, right? And I told her, like, you only got there because of the decade of work that you had put in up to that point, right? You got these good kids who developed the skills that they got along with the increased logical thinking that they had at 14 compared to 4 through all of the work that you had done up to that point. So that's how you get kids who are able to have those kinds of reactions. 10-year-olds who can play in a not particularly busy street and look out for cars.
Busy, yep.
But you had to have trained them. It's not just simply because you were 10. It's because you'd had 10 years of training under good parents who had taught you these things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have to do this again because that was fun. So hey, make sure you check out, we have an app and a lot of these kind of parenting foundations and things that we've been talking about. There's lessons in there on those. We also have the parenting manual. You can find all of that by downloading our app, search Empowering Choices Parenting, or go to our website at empoweringchoices.community, and we will see you on the next show.
Bark, bark, woof.